Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh man. Live with me, live with me, live with me, my soul. Live with me, live with me, live with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me. I'm going to ask us to take a big, deep breath. A song that asks us to just relax for a moment, to let go a little bit of all we are holding, and just loosen the tight, tight grip that shows up whether we ask for it or not. Just to loosen just a little bit. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Let go. Let go, let go, let go. Again. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go.
to celebrate the life of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Before we continue, my name is Reverend Erica Spade of the Story Dwelling community. I am one of several clergy people from a variety of faith communities here in Bend who are carving out this space among other leaders this evening, and it's a privilege. Before we continue, it is important to acknowledge the place where we are. That is a discipline, a practice, a learning practice. We are standing now on the land that belonged to the ancestors of the people we now know as the Warm Springs people, our neighbors. And we name hard truths this evening, that colonialism and violence make it possible for us to be here. Our siblings on the reservation continue to suffer from decades-old and contemporary injustices. At the same time, we name some gratitude. We are grateful for this home. We do not take it for granted. The landscape, the river, the buttes, the lava caves, all of it, we are in gratitude for. And we are grateful for the ancestors and the elders of the Warm Spring people who have stewarded this place for generations. Gratitude and repentance, both true at the same time. We are here to remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was born in Brooklyn, New York, who was the daughter of immigrants, a daughter of a good Jewish home. She served for over 2 decades on the bench. She died this week surrounded by her family at the age of 87. We are grateful to see you all here. Tonight is for grief, for celebration, for gratitude, and for lament. We invite you now, if you've brought a candle or a phone or some kind of light, now is the time. Bring it out. In some traditions, we might say that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a light. And tonight, all of your lights continue her legacy. Rabbi Johanna Hershenson will now share with us a reflection, a celebration, a gratitude, a lament.
Some may be aware that Justice Ginsburg died just as the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, was beginning. And that she was a Jewish woman, this is of significance in our community. As a semi-religious woman, from a family that very much celebrated ritual and tradition, it would not have been lost on her family mythology that when one passes during the new year, during the holy day in which we embrace the new year, one gets one of those special tickets that they used to give us if you paid extra money at Disneyland, where you don't have to stand in line. What is it? Fast pass. Right. She got a fast pass. The truth is, in our tradition, that when somebody passes, we all of the sudden, in addition to the grief that we might feel at the absence of her presence, and certainly Americans feel that grief, a justice on our Supreme Court, our flags are at half-mast. At the same time, we want to not let her go. We want to hold on to her. And we don't do that physically. We don't do that in empty words, in hopes or prayers, but rather we do that in reflection on her most noble qualities, reflection even on her areas of growth that demonstrated that she was willing to learn throughout the entire journey, not just at school. And we take what we find in those reflections, and we bring them into our way of being. On these precious cards that many of us are holding that say Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the dates, right? It says underneath, may her memory be a blessing. In Hebrew, we say, Zecher Tzadika Livracha, that the memory of a righteous person is a blessing in those of us who are still here and engaged in life. Such kind words that mean absolutely nothing unless we take them seriously as a call to action. So what made Justice Ginsburg a tzadikah, a righteous person? Well, I first heard of her in the 90s when President Clinton appointed her to the court. I was in rabbinical school, my early 20s, a Jewish woman who had been told all her life, don't be so angry. Why are you so intense? Justice Ginsburg was angry and intense. She was smarter than her husband. She did better than he did in law school at Harvard in the 1950s. She made it to the Supreme Court. She still loved her husband. He still loved her. For me, a young, powerful woman, Ruth Bader Ginsburg meant that you could be smart and powerful and you could love a partner. You could be a mother and impart your power and your wisdom onto another generation. At the same time, just years later, I moved to be a rabbi in Anchorage, Alaska. And there I worked closely with brothers and sisters in the Native community, many different nations. And I learned that one of my role models, a woman that reminded me not to hold back and not to shrink, was not a woman that some of my brothers and sisters appreciated the way I appreciated. Because in her early days on the court, while she was amazing in the area of women's rights and other kinds of civil rights and bringing them up to date, in her early days she was not quite with it on law in Indian country. And it's not the same as American law. And she took a lot of heat. And what I appreciate most about her journey was that knowing that about her and still idolizing her, we all had the blessing of watching the court just last July make an important ruling on the Muskogee Creek people, giving back or validating that at least half of Oklahoma was theirs and not American land. She grew as she was forced to grow. She grew as she encountered new problems, new obstacles that she didn't know before. And just like each and every one of us that want to feel our power and want to make our voice heard, the lesson learned here is to grow. She was a tzadikah, a righteous person, because she didn't make her fame and then stop. She kept going. She said of her dear friend Scalia, with whom she disagreed on almost everything, I want to make it like him until I turn 90. She didn't. So now it's going to be on us to voice her values and her concerns and her growth and her commitment to equality and to taking up space no matter who you are. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the memory of a righteous person is only a blessing when we speak up like she spoke up. When we are thoughtful and honest and real like she was thoughtful and honest and real. When we rely on ideals and values that are bigger than ourselves, but ideals and values that we share with all the others with whom we share this society. She will be a blessing if we are changed because of her. And the contentious point we are in our own nation's story, in which her death may very well be utilized to do something to the courts that many of her supporters fear, that she herself feared, as we hear reported in the news. Still, she can be a blessing if we stand up, if we make our voices heard, if we get into some good trouble and continue taking on a good fight. So in honor of her and her passing on Rosh Hashanah, I invite each of us to reflect on the voice that we want to hear come out of our mouths. I want us each to reflect on the areas of discomfort where we might commit to step forward and just deal with it. We allow ourselves to be uncomfortable, but to move forward, to look one another in the eye, even the one we disagree with, and shake hands and share chocolate cake and talk out our issues. Because she passed on Rosh Hashanah, I invite my dear friend and colleague Joe Boozer to sound the shofar, the primal sound of the ram's horn that calls us Jews to that which cannot be articulated in words, but we all know is true. Tekiah! One long breath that we need before we step forward. Shevarim! 3 short repeated sounds, because most things we do, we got to do over and over again. Trua! Lots of short staccato sounds, because that's just what it feels like in the here and now as we bump up against one another. And for hope and for strength, Tekiah Gedolah!